Self-care is not selfish. This is for Black women in toxic jobs. I wanted to talk about this because as Black women, we have been raised to always take care of other people. And if we say, oh, I'm tired or I'm not able to do so or whatever it might be, a lot of times we are criticized or shamed or ridiculed or some kind of way we're made to feel bad for centering ourselves. And so, when we think about taking care of ourselves, we have to make sure we take care of ourselves so that we can support other people. But then there's times that it's okay for us to really pay attention to ourselves. We need to do that. And so I am talking about ways that we can challenge that social programming that we are selfish because we are taking care of ourselves. So let's shatter that, okay? So I said, okay, well, I hear this a lot from clients. I even think about, messages that I've received growing up. So we're shattering that. I'm going to start doing a series about that. So in relation to thinking about how do you center yourself and how do we challenge those social messages that we are being selfish. So I just want us to say no, that is not selfish because we are making sure that we are okay and that we are tending to our needs. So a lot of times what happens, particularly when you're in a toxic job, and that's how sometimes you can stay there longer, is that you are ignoring what your needs are. You're ignoring how you're being impacted because you're thinking about other people. You're thinking about maybe the family that you're helping to support. You're thinking about, how you are serving other people in the workplace. All these other things causes us to lose sight of what we need for ourselves. So again, we are going to reject that perception, that social programming that as Black women, that we are selfish because we want to take care of ourselves. We're going to reject that. And I want to also say, now the title is self-care, but I'm talking more so in terms of soul care. So when we think about our soul, think about what feeds our soul and what hurts our soul. So again, I talked about this before, but I can't say it enough. Beyonce's You Won't Break My Soul, that's my favorite song now. That is like my theme song because when we are in these toxic jobs, they really are, I talk about plantations many times, but they really do try to break our soul. And so the hope is that we are taking our power back by recognizing ways that jobs are harming us and any other things that might be harming us. So I had a consultation call today and the woman was talking about how their job in so many ways was mirroring not only an abusive relationship that she left, but also a lot of trauma and abuse that she experienced in her childhood. So when we are programmed and we experience these negative things, if we're disconnected from ourselves, then it's hard for us to listen to what we really need. So the ask is that each day you take a moment, if it's when you're in the bathroom, if it's driving somewhere, if it's laying in your bed, whatever it might be, if you could just take a moment to connect to yourself and it's like a self-assessment. How am I feeling right now? What's going on right now that's impacting how I feel? That way you're connecting to your soul. That is the core. What I'm talking about is really soul care. And we are absolutely deserving of soul care. So that's the one thing I want to say. So the invitation for you is that every day you connect to your soul and you engage in practices that feed your soul. Okay, so we know those things that break our soul. I also want us to think about and encourage us to also think about and connect to those things that feed our soul. So I'm going to be talking about this a little bit more because I'm hearing it a lot more from Black women when I do consultation calls, my therapy clients, my coaching clients, and even for myself. I have to say to myself, I have to center myself. I have to take care of myself. I have to listen to my soul and I have to nurture my soul. So one thing I do to nurture my soul, absolutely prayer, going in my garden, doing things that is so therapeutic, playing with my dogs, just various things I do. Those are just a few things I do. So I invite you to think about what kind of things can you do to nourish your soul. That's the one thing, okay? The other thing I want to share with you or talk to you about is a reflection that I've had in relation to sometimes as Black people, and I might, every time I see this, I'm like, really? Sometimes as Black people, as we're going out in the world, sometimes, and I'm not saying you do this, but I'm saying that I observe this, and it's very disturbing. How sometimes as we are out in the world, particularly when we're in certain situations, let's say certain job settings, or let's say you go to an event, let's say your child's school, it could be various situations. And what I've observed and experienced is that sometimes, if it's not that many of us there, the other Black people there might be treating you in a way like they don't want to acknowledge you or something like that. And to me, it seems like some residue of post-traumatic slave syndrome. Dr. Joy DeGroy talks about this, in the sense that it's almost like only a few of us can be there, and I don't want to acknowledge you because are you going to take something away from me? Or are you going to make me look some kind of way? Or I don't want to associate with you. It's this weird dynamic. So I'm just calling out the dynamic in the hope that, if you've experienced that too, that hopefully you're not engaging in the behavior. I hope that you're not. But if you are, be mindful that when you see another Black person in a space, acknowledge. You could just get eye contact. You could do a head nod, something to just acknowledge. Because when we don't acknowledge one another, that is very demeaning. And think about what it's like for us to be out in the world and all that we have to deal with all the time. When we don't simply acknowledge one another, that is very demeaning. So I want to say that too, okay? I also want to say this. So this is something that I've also observed. So, I'm a thinker, so I'm always thinking about something. I don't watch TV, so it's less things to distract me. So my mind is always going. I do look at YouTube, that I do enjoy that, but I don't watch TV. So something else that I've observed is, and that I've experienced, is sometimes when people say, oh, I'm just telling you, or I just want you to know. What I've noticed with that is that a lot of times there's something underneath that. It's something kind of like something kind of make you give a side eye to that. So I know that when I was in a toxic job, I had 2 experiences with Black women. And, I've done videos before about all skin folk and kin folk. So I want to talk to you about this because I noticed this with these 2 Black women at the previous toxic job. And they couched it in the way that they were trying to help me. I'm just trying to tell you, all these things that they were doing. And as I stepped back and looked at what they so-called were doing to help me, it really wasn't to help me. It wasn't to help me at all. And if you take a moment and listen to what people are saying, and they will tell on themselves. So they might say that they're just telling you something so that you know. I just want to tell you so at least you know. I want us to pause when that happens and think about this. So if they say, oh, I just want you to know what people were saying about you. I just want you to know. Okay. So think to yourself, first of all, why are these people talking about me to you? Think about that, okay? So people don't talk about, if they know that you're super cool with this person and you down with this person, and they're not going to talk about you with that person, okay? The other thing is, if they so-called are just sharing things with you, and this person is saying bad things or negative things about you, why they not stand up for you if they so-called have your back? So I'm just saying, okay, well, let me be mindful of saying just, okay? Because again, what I've noticed is that when people say that to you, particularly in the workplace, oh, I just want you to know, I just want to tell you, I just want to give you the heads up. I just want to be mindful of that. Pause and really look at that. Because what I've experienced, and those were just two examples. What I've experienced is that when people say just, I want to just, it's something shady in relation to that. That really helps you understand sometimes those people you stay away from. Okay? Now, as I'm closing, I want to share two things with you. One, I hope that you can tune in to the 3,000 subscriber celebration that I'm having tomorrow. Or no, later today, excuse me, because I'm recording this later today. Okay, so it's going to be 5 p.m. Pacific time today. So 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central time. So I hope that you can tune in because it's really a celebration not only of my transformation that I got to 3,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is major for somebody who didn't want to be on YouTube. So that, but it's also going to be a celebration. I'm going to bring in cameos of Black women that I've met through this YouTube journey. Just phenomenal, powerful, brilliant women that I've met. I'm going to just have like cameos of them coming on to join us as well. So again, I hope you can join the celebration tomorrow. Oh my God, today, excuse me, later today. I'm recording this on Saturday. So if you can tune in today at 4 p.m. I'm sorry. Oh my God, I'm just messing up all over the place. Okay, give me grace. I'm gonna give myself grace. I don't edit videos, so this is what you're gonna get. This is my full transparency. So today at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific time, join in the celebration of me getting to 3,000 subscribers. And again, I'm having special guests, special Black women guests to come in and to just talk just for a little bit. But I want you to be a part of the celebration. And then I also want to let you know, so again, when I get these ideas about things that I want to do, you know, I talked about before about that I'm going to do an exit planning one-time masterclass for people who still work for my former employer. So I want to do that because that was downloaded to my spirit, and a lot of people from that place are contacting me. Again, these are not my friends. These are, of course, these are not people that done me wrong either. These are people who maybe I was associated with in some kind of way at that job, or that I didn't even work with. Never worked with them. Some kind of way they found out about me on YouTube. So I am offering those people who work at that job. And you know what I noticed too when I talked about it the other day? That I was being very kind of cautious when I was talking about, you know, the former job. It was almost like that residual like slave kind of enslaved mentality of being. I was like, I'm not scared of that place. So I'm not going to say it by name because they do have some whatever about saying the name, and I don't want nobody to come back and at me legally, whatever. However, I can refer to the employer, and I want to say that because let's say somebody working at that employer doesn't watch my video, but someone they're connected to does, and they may not even know who I'm talking about or what job I'm talking about. So I'm like, I'm not scared about calling out the place. Okay, so not the name, but I will give you a reference so you know who I'm talking about. So I used to work for the second largest school district in the nation. So you can figure out who that is. You can figure it out. And if you know of anyone who works for the second largest school district in the nation and they are struggling, they are having a difficult time, they want to get out, they don't know how, let them know that I will be having a one-time masterclass in terms of exit planning. We will create an exit plan for them. Now, I also want to say, because of that environment, which in many times I know in multiple departments, like I said, people are seeking me out, they're contacting me, can you help me, or thank you for what you're doing, multiple departments. So again, when you think about these negative experiences, a lot of times it's the system that's toxic. It's not just the department you work in, it's the system. And so because I know the system is toxic, I want to be mindful of sharing with people that I have put some security, or I will be putting security considerations in mind, um, as I know that I've encountered that a number of people at that job are very messy, and I know that retaliation is very real, and I know that people gossip. So, because of all those reasons, I will make this in Zoom webinar format. So that way, anyone who wants to come from my former employer, if they want to come to the masterclass to get their exit plan together, it will be Zoom webinar. No one will have their names listed. No one will be on camera except for me. So I want people to feel a sense of security in that. And if they have questions or comments during the exit planning masterclass, they can change their name. So I want to keep all these things in mind. And I also want to say, for those who are still at my former employer, I am saying to you publicly that I do appreciate those who reach out to me and say, thank you, I appreciate your work, the job is getting worse, and thank God you got out. I appreciate that. What I cannot do is I cannot talk to you about your individual experiences. I can't hear about it. It is too triggering for me. I left the job over a year ago. It is still very triggering for me. I can still have like reminders of certain things that happened to me, even though I'm in a much better place. And when I talk about healing from a toxic job, I talk about it's a process. I'm still healing. So please, if you are still at that current job and you're contacting me, do not talk to me about details about what you're going through. I have compassion for you. I truly do. I truly do. But I cannot hear the individual details. That's why I'm doing a masterclass. The masterclass, I'm helping multiple people, but I'm not hearing about the ins and outs of who did this and that person connected to that. It's too much for me. And so I have to be mindful of maintaining boundaries for myself, because as I'm healing, I don't want to continually be triggered. However, I do want to get back. I want to help out as many people as I can. And so before, I was thinking, when do I want to offer this masterclass? And I said, at first I wasn't quite sure. I'm going to have the masterclass in February, because February reminds me, of course, of Black History Month. And it reminds me also of when I was at the toxic job, I used to refer to myself as Harriet Tubman. And I referred to myself as Harriet Tubman because, number one, I knew that it was like a plantation. I knew the job was like a plantation. I knew I had to leave. I didn't know how I was going to leave or when or whatever. I knew eventually I had to get out of there. And I also knew that I had to advocate for the rights of Black people at that job. The students, the families, the staff, and I was doing it. And that was part of the problem in terms of, again, I knew deep down I had to go at some point, but I think that prolonged it. So besides the fear of money and what I was going to do about money after I left, part of it was I felt that it was my mission to be Harriet at the job and to really work almost like on an underground railroad to advocate for the needs of Black students, families, and staff. Now, when I say that, that sounds insane. It sounds insane that I would feel like, again, equating the job to a plantation, and in some kind of way trying to make it okay for being there because I was channeling. No, that's not healthy. It's not healthy. So, again, part of my healing is I'm going to offer this in February. This is my, again, giving back and try to help as many people as I can. But I'm on the other side. I've left. I've gone to freedom and I'm reaching back. Just like Harriet. Harriet kept going back. I'm not going to keep going back though, okay? I'm not keep going back. I've gone to freedom. I'm living a much better life. I'm going to come back one time to reach for those people. And it's open. I'm not saying that it has to be women. I'm not saying it has to be black women. I'm not saying it could be any person. Any person. Oh, there's a caveat. Let me say this. Any person who has not been shady to me is open to coming to this masterclass. Again, the masterclass is for those who are trying to come up with the exit plan. Again, safety considerations in place. I'm not going to tell nobody who is registering. So I'm not a gossipy person. So if you're registering like, oh God, she going to tell, I'm not telling nobody. I'm not telling nobody. Okay. The only person who will know besides me is my virtual assistant, Marissa Price. And she's not a part of this job, that former job. She's never worked for the former job. She's living her life in Mexico right now. So don't worry about that part. Okay, so this is the caveat. So if you have done something shady to me and you know who you are, you know who you are. Because I'm not talking to you anymore. So you know who you are. So if you try to register for the masterclass, I will go through the registration. And if I see your name, I will refund the money and you will not be in the masterclass. Don't even try it. Please don't try it. Because I'll just have to refund your money. It's going to be a waste of your time. Okay. Don't do it. Okay. So I want to close with this. So if you haven't already gotten the rest deck by the Net Ministry, Trisha Hersey. Okay. So when I talk about things that are put in my spirit, that's part of the soul care, is that now that I'm able to sit, pause, listen to what my soul is saying to me, because I'm not under constant attack at that toxic job. So now that I do that, I am able to receive what is being downloaded to me. And my hope is that you are doing that too. And I'm able to do the things that I know that I need to do. Part of what I need to do sometimes is to help people in certain areas. So I talked about the masterclass I'm going to do for, again, employees, current employees who work at the second largest school district in the nation, and you are being harmed and you want to get out and you want an exit plan. I will talk to you about the exit planning masterclass that I'll be offering in February. So check it out. I will have a waiting list for that. So once the registration is opened, I will send you the information so you can register and pay for it. Again, if you've done anything shady to me, or let me say this, or I've seen you do some shady stuff towards other black people, or you're like a true all skin folk and kinfolk kind of person, I'm gonna refund you the money. Okay, so just be mindful of that. So in terms of being put in my spirit also, I'm gonna go back to how I started, that self-care is not selfish, particularly for black women, because of what we go through. Self-care is not selfish. I invite us to think about who told us that. So look at the source or the sources. Who told you that? Who told you that? It might be society, and they have an ulterior motive. They want us to be workhorses. So check the sources. Did anybody tell you this in your family? What about your job? So I invite you to think about that. Soul care. You got to connect to, you got to rest so you can hear what your soul is saying. Okay. So part of what my soul is also saying is that I'm going to have a series in terms of, just like I have a day in the life with Dr. Kamani, and I have the Fluffy Challenge, which I hope you are joining me on in my own journey. And I'm being very vulnerable, even though I'm a little self-conscious. Sometimes I look at these videos like, oh my God, but I'm doing this because it makes me accountable. And my hope is that you can be accountable in terms of when you see me doing this, that you are accountable to yourself. And maybe I'm like your virtual accountability partner some kind of way. So when I think about what I'm doing, so that's the fluffy challenge I'm doing. I also am going to start doing a series about self-care is not selfish. I'm going to do this for Black women. And again, the main focus is that I want us to connect to our soul care. So, for the Restless Resistance, Tricia Hersey, the Nat Ministry. So, she has a beautiful The Rest deck. Okay. So, I'm going to start going through the cards of the Rest deck, and as an invitation for us to take a moment and get the cards too. And I'm going to start talking about the cards in terms of my own reflections and offering you something to possibly reflect on in your own life, okay? So this one is, I don't know if you can see it. Okay. So this one says, my dreams are enough. My existence is enough, okay? My dreams are enough. My existence is enough. So again, when people try to make us think that we have to earn our worth or we're not enough, so they might say that, but more importantly, what many times you might experience as a toxic job, they will send you these messages that you are enough and that you have to keep trying to prove your worth. And we're rejecting that. We are more than enough. We are more than enough. And when people try to make you feel like you are not enough, I want you to pause. Just like I talked about the just stuff. When people say, oh, I just want to give you the heads up. I want you to think about this too. That when people constantly try to make you feel like you are not enough, that is really a projection of their own insecurities. So I invite you to think about who or what is in your environment that's telling you that you are not enough. So that's the first thing. The second thing I invite you to do is think about, who is this person? Who are these people? Let's check the source. Are they credible sources? What's going on in their lives? Or what is their ulterior motive for what they're doing and why they're doing this, okay? So I'm going to read what it says on the back of the card. So this is the front of the card. Okay, if you can see it. Okay. So the back of the card says, you are enough now. Everything you need to craft a rest practice is within you. You are not the problem. Capitalism and white supremacy are the problems. Your rest work is to liberate yourself from both ways of thinking and being. Resting is a capitalist system. It's an act of resistance. Again, resting in a capitalistic system is an act of resistance. Every day, you can create a moment of rest by daydreaming. Keep resting. How many times have you been told, let's think about this. How many times have you been told, oh, you daydreaming. Oh, don't do that. Why do people say that to you? Why would they say that to you? Okay. So there's time for work. There's time for rest. And rest can be taking time during your downtime to daydream. Okay. So I want to sign off with saying this. So you may have already heard the quote from the brilliant Audre Lorde. And she talked about self-care is not selfish. She said that self-care is self-preservation and it's an act of political resistance. It is, okay? So I'm talking to us, I'm talking to me, that we need to self-preserve. So we have to make sure we're okay before we can help anybody else. And this is really an act of political resistance. It really is, okay? So quoting Audre Lorde. So I'm signing off. I hope that you can come to the live later today. So 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, and 5 p.m. Pacific time. It is a celebration of me getting to 3,000 subscribers on YouTube. And again, I'm inviting other Black women to come on. These are Black women that I've met in this journey of having a YouTube channel. I still can't believe I have 3,000 subscribers, given that I didn't want to do a photo shoot. I didn't want to be on camera for anything. I didn't want to talk about my journey, but God told me to do it. So I did a video recently where I was saying, why me, God? Why? Why did this happen to me? And this is manifesting in terms of the why me, because God knew I was going to say something about it. God knew I was going to do something about it. And so the why me. So I'm on the other side. And again, I'm trying to support as many Black women as I can to leave and heal from a toxic job. You know, I think I don't even introduce myself. I'm sorry. I'm at the end of the video. I got so excited about what I want to share with you. So again, I'm Dr. Kamani. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist and a toxic job survivor. I'm a toxic job survivor. I am still healing. I'm trying to help as many Black women as I can to leave and heal from toxic jobs. As I am doing this, I'm reaching out to you. I'm reaching out to you, sis. I'm reaching out and I'm trying to help you leave, because the healing really starts once you leave the toxic job. And as I'm reaching for you, I'm asking you, please reach out to other Black women, because it's so many Black women right now who are struggling in a toxic job. It is outrageous. It really is. And that fuels me too. That upsets me so much. I had a consultation. I had 3 consultation calls today. And it was Black women talking about their experience in toxic jobs. I was on fire about when they were telling me what they went through. It is upsetting. And so for me, what I do with that is that I channel it to help more Black women. So that's what I'm doing. I'm channeling that anger and that frustration about what so many of us have experienced and are currently experiencing in toxic jobs. So again, I'm reaching for you, and I'm asking for you to reach out to other Black women, because again, if you know other Black women, more than likely she's in a toxic job too, unfortunately. And I know that's sad, but we changing this, okay? Because we part of a movement. We're going to change this. So if you know of another Black woman, she's in a toxic job, reach out to her and share with her this video. Share with at least 2 other Black women, about this video. Share this video with her. Share with her about my YouTube channel. Share with her, because again, we're part of the movement. You with me, sis? We're part of this movement. So you got to save yourself. And then I'm asking you to please help save other Black women. Okay? So I'm signing off. Please give this video a thumbs up. Okay? Like this video. Also share this video, like I said, with 2 other Black women. And subscribe to my channel. Lifting As We Climb Consulting, Wellness Services. And I will see you later. Bye.